Hi everyone! Today we are going to read a story about American painter Alma Thomas. This book is called Ablaze with Color, a story of painter Alma Thomas. Ablaze with Color, a story of painter Alma Thomas. Written by Jeanne Harvey, illustrated by Loveis. Former President Barack Obama's words at a White House event honoring Black History Month in 2015. Now, as always, this month is a chance to celebrate the central role that African Americans have played in every aspect of American life. And here at the White House, we're committed to honoring that legacy. Earlier this month, we opened up the newly restored Old Family Dining Room, and now it includes a painting by Alma Thomas called Resurrection. And that's the first in the White House collection by an African American woman. First Lady, Michelle, made that happen, and we could not be prouder. Courtesy Barack Obama Presidential Library. Through color, I have sought to concentrate on beauty and happiness rather than on man's inhumanity to man. Alma Thomas, 1970. Alma always felt her best when she was outside soaking up the sparkling colors of nature. In the garden at her house on a hill, she skipped around circles of flowers, pastel purple violets and crimson roses crowned by bright green banana leaves. She fell back on the grass beneath poplar trees and gazed at quivering yellow leaves that whistled in the wind. Alma waded in the blue hues of a brook and basked in the warm glow of sunsets. Alma was always on the go, never wanting to sit or cook or sew like her three younger sisters. She wanted to make things that she could hold. Alma scooped up moist red clay from the banks of the nearby stream. She shaped small bowls and cups to dry in the sizzling sun. Inside her house, Alma's world was full of color and creativity. Her mother designed dazzling dresses, singing as she sewed. Her aunts painted petals and patterns, and Alma dipped her brush in tiny pots. Although Alma felt joy at home, she and her sisters were sad they couldn't attend the school just 2 doors away, the white school, and they couldn't enter museums or the town library. So Alma's parents filled their home with books and created their own place of learning. They invited teachers into their living room to talk about people and places around the world, famous stories, and ways of thinking. Even though Alma didn't understand all that was said by the grown-ups, she watched and listened. When Alma turned 15 and couldn't attend the local high school, her family decided to move to the north, away from the injustices of the South. After the train crossed the state border, Alma's mother told her girls to take off their shoes and shake out the Georgia sand and never go back again. The family moved into a house in Washington, D.C., where Alma would live for most of her life. A house with a flower garden, a patch of nature that always made her happy. When Alma grew up, she studied art in college. She chose to share her love of art by teaching at a local school. But even in the nation's capital, schools were still segregated, and access to art was limited. Alma was determined to bring art to the young in her neighborhood, just as her parents had brought learning into her home when she was young. Alma invited children into her living room and taught them to make wooden marionettes. They performed their own plays when they weren't allowed to see puppet shows downtown. In her free time, Alma painted, studied, and shared ideas with artist friends. Sometimes their work was exhibited together. Mainly, though, she devoted herself to helping children, leading field trips and art clubs and setting up the city's first gallery in a school. Finally, when Alma was almost 70 years old, she stopped teaching and focused on her own art. Sitting in her favorite red chair, she stared at the patterns of light and color twinkling through the leaves of her holly tree, just as she had watched the fluttering leaves of the poplar trees when she was a young girl. Inspired by what she saw, Alma began painting in a new style: circles and stripes, dashes and dabs, ablaze with color. Soft colors, bright colors. She created colors and patterns she remembered from her childhood days in the South and from what she saw now at her favorite park nearby. She painted how she felt on the inside, when she experienced nature outside. The wind, the sunshine, the flowers, how nature made her heart sing and dance, even when life could be hard and unjust. Alma imagined soaring high in an airplane, even though she had never been in one. Gardens and trees below became streaks and smudges. Amazed by the space travel, new at the time, Alma envisioned traveling aboard rockets with astronauts. The starry sky and zooming spaceships glimmered as dashes and swatches. Galleries began showing Alma's new artwork, and then the unexpected happened. The Whitney, a famous art museum in New York City, featured Alma's paintings of Earth and space, the first solo show by a Black woman. Thrilled by the honor, Alma greeted crowds gathered at the museum, a place where everyone could visit. Later that year, the Corcoran Gallery of Art, a large museum in D.C., also showcased her paintings. The mayor proclaimed September 9th as Alma Thomas Day to celebrate Alma, her art, and all she had done for the city's youth. Sadly, Alma didn't live to see the momentous day when the first Black president and the First Lady chose Alma's painting as the first artwork by a Black woman to be displayed in the White House, the home of the president's family and a symbol of the American people. Alma's art shimmered above a long table in the old family dining room of the White House, where famous leaders, teachers, and artists gathered, just as people had gathered in Alma's childhood home, just as children had gathered in Alma's D.C. house. In Alma's piece, yellow dashes twirl, circles upon circles swirl, orange, red, purple, blue, a soft, quiet center, a green of nature, a painting of hope and joy, ablaze with glorious colors, Alma's colors. Let's take a look at the author's notes. When I learned that Alma Woodsey Thomas's 1966 abstract painting titled Resurrection was chosen as the first artwork by a Black woman to be added to the White House permanent collection, I immediately knew I wanted to share Alma's exceptional life and art by writing a children's book about her. Former First Lady Michelle Obama explained that she and former President Barack Obama, the first Black U.S. president, chose contemporary art because they believed life in the White House could be forward-leaning without losing any of its established history and tradition. I greatly admire Alma's dedication to both of her careers, as an art educator for children and as an artist. Despite the challenges of discrimination, she approached her life with the conviction that we can't accept any barriers, any limitations of any kind, on what we create or how we do it. Alma often explained that the use of colors in my paintings is of paramount importance to me. She believed colors are the children of light, and light reveals the spirit and living soul of the world. Whenever I see Alma's artwork, my spirits are lifted. I'm deeply grateful that I had the opportunity to write about her inspiring life and paintings, ablaze with joyous color. And here are the illustrator's notes. Alma's harmonious work expresses the way we imagine beauty and joy through vibrancy. Like her, I believe that through color, we discover our own inner truth, liberation, and happiness.